Hello and welcome to the Authentic Love Now series. I'm your host, love and dating coach, Deanna Cobden, and today I have the incredible Cheryl Besner. She is a certified relationship coach, motivational speaker, and talk show host. She's a respected relationship expert by several news organizations, and her radio show, Solo in the City, is the #1 rated show on Saturday nights, reaching hundreds of thousands of hopeful romantics weekly. She designed her own signature coaching methods based on all her experiences, studies, and research with one mission to support you. Welcome, Cheryl. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad to be part of this.
Yeah, we're really excited. So today we're going to talk about being your own matchmaker after divorce, which is so important. But before we get started, can you share a little bit about how did you get started?
I got divorced. Yeah, I got divorced. That's how it all started.
Yeah. And then you just started on the path of realizing you could help people, or what kind of led to the relationship expert part?
Well, actually, it was quite funny. When I got divorced, I seemed to be constantly surrounded by, let's say, very negative energy from people who were divorced, who were finding it hard to meet new people and get out there. And they said, it's almost impossible to meet anybody. And I said, that's not true. And every time I would work with somebody, well, at that time it was talk with somebody, something would happen. I would make a suggestion and they would say, oh, you know what? I met somebody new and it's kind of cool and things are changing. So I started realizing people needed to bond with somebody who would spread positive influence. So I just decided to write a blog. It was 365 Days to Find Love was the name of the blog. That first set me off. And it was just supposed to be an inspirational experience and what I was going through, more, not so much what was going on in my dating life, but more what was going on in my head during it. And very shortly into it, I met the owner of Lava Life, one of the creators. And he said, you have something here, and I think you could really make a difference in the dating world. Why don't you learn everything you can about it? Go to iDate and meet people and see what it brings you. And I went. 2 months later, I was my second month in my blog and met all these incredible matchmakers and coaches. And I decided right then and there to take a certification. They were offering it there to start it right at the conference. So I went for it, and the rest is history.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so we talk about being your own matchmaker after divorce. It's a whole new world out there. People get divorced and it's just like, whoa, what's going on? They're so confused. So what's the first thing they should know?
Well, the first thing is then, by the way, my technique works for everybody. It's not just for divorce because it's a universal experience. What we do as matchmakers, well, in my case, there's 5 simple steps that I use. The first one is when I'm working with a client, I try and help them really identify their lifestyle values and goals, their LVG. And that's really, how are you living your life? What are your values? What do you live by? And what are your goals? And then making sure that they all align with each other. And that LVG, lifestyle values and goals, you can be very different than your partner in a lot of ways, but those 3 things have to match. So if you have the same lifestyle and you have the same values, but you want to get married and the other person has no intention of ever getting married again, they're in cement boots, why go there? Know your intention. Same thing if you're younger, LVG. If you want to get married and have kids, don't date somebody who is not interested in ever having children in their life. And don't think it's going to change. People don't change.
Yeah.
Sometimes life changes you, but you're not going to change somebody. So that's the first step in the 5-step process on how to become your own matchmaker. Okay. The second one is to make a pact with yourself. When I say pact, I mean pact. So the first part is P, make a plan and stick to it, a 3-month plan. How are you going to start being proactive about changing your life? The A, well, that's your attitude and accountability. So if you make that plan and you're going to be proactive for the next 3 months and slowly get to where you want to start getting out there again, and your plan is to once a week go out on your own little date, well, be accountable to that. So write down your plan and then be accountable for it with the right attitude. Yeah. it's very, very important that you do these things. The C is for a coach. Have somebody that has your back. And remember, if you're using a friend, if you're not using a professional coach like myself, if you're talking to a friend, make sure also that their LVG mirrors yours. And also remember that everybody has their own opinion on love and life and how the two work. So imagine that you're one person sitting down at a table with 5 girlfriends, and I'm going to use a very harsh example. You sit down and you say, my boyfriend or my husband or my wife beat me yesterday. Well, you might get 5 very different. I know everybody, especially right now with Me Too, is like, no, we're all going to say the same thing. But here's the thing. Where history comes from helps or defines how we see things. So you might get one woman who has been beaten herself who goes, well, I left my marriage, you should have punched him back and walked out right then and there. You might get one woman who goes, well, what did you do to deserve that? Maybe she was, abused as a child. You might get one friend who goes, well, maybe you should go for counseling. So you're going to get all these different perspectives on where people come from, rather than a professional coach who, is taking your experience and looking at it and helping you realize. So that coach, if you're going to choose a friend, make sure it's not just somebody's opinion that they're giving you.
Yeah, I find that honestly, it's very, I personally don't know anybody, and I'm not saying that just because I'm a coach, but I was just always had that bigger perspective. And I actually, since becoming a coach, I noticed so much how people truly live from this narrow point of view of their own world. They're not really open to seeing the bigger picture or understanding, and I also noticed people don't often even trust themselves as well, like, because they have this narrow view, right? So then they put that on you too.
That's it.
Right?
It's all where they're coming from.
Yeah, exactly. So having somebody that, I think that's excellent advice. Yeah.
So that there's 2 parts. So the other part of the coach, so you have the P is the plan of this pact you're going to make with yourself. You've got the A is your attitude for accountability. C is the coach. Careful when you're choosing a friend. And the part of coaching that's really, really important, and I can't stress this enough, is, as a confident woman, we all think we know everything. As a confident guy, we all think we know everything. But here's the thing. We might be really confident people. Question? Are you competent in this dating world? Do you really understand what's happening in this dating world? Do you understand the world of texting, the world of nuance, the world of flirting? It's very different now as a 50-something-year-old woman than it was when I was 26 before I got married. Do you understand how to meet new people? Do you understand living your life? So I understand most people go, listen, I know what I want. I'm really confident. I know who I am. Are you competent? Because you need competence and confidence to be successful in your dating world, right?
Yeah, that's really good. I love how you break it down, because it is a different world, like we were saying, and you don't just, people used to just kind of go meet somebody and go out and it would turn into something, and it's just not really like that anymore. There's a learning curve now.
There is a learning curve. So this is still just my second step of the 5 steps. So the PAC, the T is your team. So when you're coming, especially out of a long-term marriage, you've got a lot of couple friends. Who is your team? Who are the people you're going to go out with? Because the fact is, if you're going to continue working within your social circle, that is this nice, comfy space from your marriage, you're not necessarily going to meet new people. Yeah. So I'm not saying by any means walk away from the team that you've known. I'm saying add on to your team. Who is your wingman? Who do you go out with? How do you even speak to your team members from before, meaning your friends, and say, listen, guys, I really appreciate you inviting me for dinner, but could we go out for dinner? Because you're not going to meet anybody in their house. Remind your friends that you need to be out there. You need to be social. You need to be engaging in your life. Again, doesn't mean not to go to your friend's barbecue. It just means don't make it a habit to find yourself in this very cushy place. Build that new team. And yes, find some single friends that you can go out with and enjoy different activities. Or Go out by yourself. So that's the second step in the 5-step process. Then we move on to loving your life. Part of your pact also, but loving your life is step 3. Getting out there, do the things that you love. Maybe do the things that you gave up before you were married, or even because you're just coming out of college, things you had to put behind because you were so busy immersed in your studies. Get out there, love your life, because that partner is going to be there. He's going to be, or she's going to be, where you love to live.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that you're saying some really good things, because you don't want to, like going with your last step too, you're trying to make, sometimes people are trying to make their new life their old life, and then don't jump into their actual new life, right? Which is getting out there and kind of discovering who they are again.
Right. Yeah. And that goes back then even to my step 1, is understanding your lifestyle, your values and goals. And those don't really change from when you're, in your teens, actually. By 14, you're kind of formed. Your parents have done their job, you're kind of formed. And we often know exactly who we are when we're young. We don't know what we're going to do in life, but we know, if we're talkative, if we're a little bit introverted. Again, I don't like putting labels on everybody, but we know where our tendencies are. Doesn't mean we can't, get out there and have some enjoyment with new things down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a really important part, is really knowing what you want to do, the things that you enjoy doing. Because listen, we're only here once. And even if we're in a relationship with somebody, we shouldn't be giving up those things. They should want us to be everything we can and encourage us to do the things that we love in our life, because that's part of love life.
Yeah.
Loving your life.
Yeah. Okay. So did we cover all 5 steps, or what's
No, the 4th step is picture perfect profile. Get online. Every single one of my clients, they're online. I'm a matchmaker. I introduce people, but a lot of people start meeting people online. And if nothing else, it's an icebreaker. But the fact is, you want a picture perfect profile. So a few steps to that one. Choose a great name that really tells people who you are almost from the onset, or gives them something to talk about. When I went online, my name was Vodka Cocktail. This way, when somebody reached out to me, they go, can I buy you a martini? There was already something to catch. That's number 1. Number 2, your picture says this out 1,000 words. It does. So great headshot, no sunglasses, let people see your eyes, and 1 full length. You and you alone. No children, no other people, not 5 women standing there where they have to guess who you are. And do something that's full length and maybe even active. So if you love tennis, be in your tennis outfit. Again, pictures say 1,000 words. Your bio, please stay away from, I love reading and going hiking and making a list of what you like. Tell a story. Just make it 1 story. When I went on this vacation, I couldn't believe the majestic ocean view that I had as I climbed, Mount whatever. It tells people right there, you like to travel, you like adventure, you like hiking, you like taking in the scenes, you appreciate what's around you. Tell the story from 1 specific event in your life, but tell your story. Don't just list who you are. Know how to vet. Get to the chase, okay? If you're only going to date 35 to 45, he's 23, maybe. No. Vet properly, go for what you really want, and refresh your profile often. Every 2 weeks, press that refresh by changing something on, because it pushed you back on top of the search mode. Otherwise, you start to fall in as more people sign up. You start to fall down. So no matter what site you're on, refresh something on it and choose your website, whatever site or app you want, really wisely. So that's number 4.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Just while we're on this, so what do you say to women who feel like, I don't want to go online, all the men on there just want sex or they're players or whatever. Like, what do you say when people say
Stop
that?
being so negative.
Yeah.
Stop making assumptions.
Yeah.
And the whole world is not a player. They're for fun. They're often people there just like you. And there's women on that and men on that. I speak to both men and women here. You're both on there. And you're going to have to weed through. That's why vetting is the most important thing about how to become your own matchmaker. Step 5, vet. And what is it to take 20 minutes every couple days to go on there and check your inbox, or be the person who reaches out. Ladies, if you want, I'm telling you now, Bumble, to me, one of the sites that I recommend a lot. It's up to you to make the first move. You're in control, and it's worked for a lot of people that I know, Bumble. And other sites are great too, Match and Over 50, and there's a lot of great sites. But if you're worried about, not being in control, Bumble for that particular woman is for you. And I say, especially after divorce, we can often be in a position where we don't have to date somebody within our city. So why keep it down to such a narrow community? These sites are there. You have to know how to use them. And then there's nothing to be ashamed of. Listen, if Martha Stewart can be online, anybody can be online.
That's true. I think she was
online.
Right? Wasn't she on Match?
Yeah. And there's also another site. Oh my goodness. Now it's just going to escape me. And I'm going to have to try and remember as I'm talking to you. But there is one other site. When you go on there, you have to be accepted, and it's all for, I think maybe you put your bio out there, and then you get accepted, and they only take creative. So, whether you're in theater, a lot of famous actors are on there and actresses are on there. It starts with an R, and hopefully it's going to come back to me.
Yeah, I have heard of that one. Just the league kind
Rhea or something?
That's the league is more like you have to be like Ivy League kind of education. But yeah, I know the one.
But they do exist. They do exist where you have to be accepted. The fact is, this entire process is about having the right attitude. And if you want something, when we want to open up a business, or we want to change something within our lives, most people go on headfirst into it and don't leave a stone unturned. Why not do it with your love life? Like, treat your love life like it's the most important thing, because loving somebody is really a truly beautiful thing. And if you're out there and you're saying, well, I want to meet somebody, well, then it's one of the most important things you should be working on right now.
Yeah. I think that divorce, like, I got into this too after being divorced and realizing, like, whoa, there's so many people that are confused out there. I could really help people. But I always say, like, being divorced is like really a gift that you get to discover who you are, really. Because a lot of people, you get married really young, you actually don't really know who you are. You don't really know what you like, because you just had some ideas of some stuff you wanted to do, but you never necessarily really did it. So that's your chance to really do it and get out there. And like, the dating process helps you discover who you are, right? Especially online, because you do have to really like open up and understand there's all different kinds of people out there. So it can be a real adventure. It's your mindset, right?
Listen, look at my cup. Fabulous is an attitude.
Oh, I love that.
Everybody. So life is an attitude, how you're going to go about it. And it doesn't mean that it's always easy. It doesn't mean we're always positive. I tend to live in a positive world, and I try and work that through with my clients and at my retreats. I can have 30 women, and they all come in with different energies. And by the end of the weekend, they're all feeling the same kind of energy, because their mindset is switching over. And it doesn't happen overnight. But that's one of the key components. And like I said, when I do these retreats, and I have women come from all over, and they all come in not knowing each other, and within 2 hours of starting to just have them switch off and connect with each other in a new way, something that they don't necessarily experience on a day-to-day, you see that right away your energy, your openness really just explodes in a new direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. So, okay, so what do you feel like, the biggest block you see with women getting divorced and then going back into dating? Like, is there something that you see that comes up a lot for them that's like kind of blocking them?
Yeah, well, two things. And by the way, again, if there's men watching this as well, they're the same, okay? And it's called, I put it under the heading of life. But there's two things that come with that, okay? The two components that block people is fear.
Yeah.
So they got hurt, they don't want to get hurt again. But you know what? Hurt is part of life, and fear stops us in everything we do from living the things that we want to do. You know, you could want to skydive, but it's fear that's going to stop you from it. So same thing with your love life. So fear is there, and that's a huge block. And usually fear also comes from our limited beliefs about ourselves. You know, something that happened in the past, like divorce, and let's say male or female who felt that they had to give up a lot to leave that divorce, let's say financially, we'll go on the financial, and again, happens male, female, sometimes it's a woman paying. That fear blocks you.
Yeah.
But you have to understand that was that story. What's your next story going to be? And you can use everything you learned to make sure, and nothing's a sure thing, but at least make sure that you don't head into something for the wrong reasons. So you got to get over that fear, and that's the first step. Like even at the retreats that I do, and the first thing with a new client, that lifestyle values and goals, it's going into that limited belief. What's stopping you from living the lifestyle that you want? Because it's not your values. Your values are good. Hopefully you have good values, but it's, you know, the lifestyle. The other thing that holds people back is their expectations. And I often talk at a seminar or with my clients or at workshops, and the first thing that a lot of people come with is expectations. And, you know, I always bring it down to high school because it's an easy one to understand. So high school, you have the jock and you have the cheerleader. And the jock wants to date the cheerleader and the cheerleader wants to date the jock. The fact is the cheerleader might be best suited for the guy from the debate team, right? So a lot of people come out of a marriage and they have an expectation of having at least what they had or better.
Yeah.
And there are sometimes big expectations that come along with that. So my question is always, if you had 3 things that you wanted something, I like people come in with these long lists of what they want to accomplish. And I'm like, it's not a grocery store here. You don't get, you know, an hour and a half to shop and fill your cart. You know, you have one life to live. And if you want to fill that cart, it's going to take you a long time. And I'm not saying you shouldn't get what you want in a partner. We should get what we need in life. So what are your real needs? And they might come in with 10, and slowly but surely we will whittle it down to 3. The 3 most important things that are your boundaries, they're your must-haves in somebody, and they range. And everybody always says, well, I want somebody who's, you know, honest, fun. No. What is it? Is it family? Is it like go for gold? Is it generosity? Not necessarily, I'm talking generosity of spirit.
Yeah.
If you are a very generous, caring, nurturing person, you want to nurture, but the fact is you want that back. You know, we usually mirror in our partners. So bring it back. Or maybe you don't want it mirrored back. Maybe you want somebody who will just take. But these are really important things to know. And if you have expectations that you're, you know, going to end up with the jock in this case, well, the fact is the jock has a huge, you know, pool of women he can date and make cool one day,
Yeah.
But are you the person that you think will attract that person, and will you be attractive to that person?
Yeah.
And if you're not, then go become that. Like, go, if that's what you really, really want, work at being that person. So if you are coming from a space, for example, of, you've been a homebody, you've been raising your kids, and you don't really have much of a social life, but you want somebody who's a go-getter, and you want somebody who's always out and about. Well, if you stay home, that's not going to happen. So start going out and about. And if you want somebody who loves food and wine, well, then go take a food and wine course. Like, start being the person that you want to attract, because that's, again, living your life already as if it is.
Yeah, becoming aligned. I also hear sometimes people come to me and say, "Oh, well, I want to meet somebody who's really active and is like really sporty and fit, because I'm not in very good shape and I'd like them to motivate me." And I'm like, people that are like out there exercising and like really living that kind of life, they're not interested in motivating you to be healthy. They want somebody that's already into that. So like you have to get out there and like become active yourself as well. But it is really funny how people start thinking they put their happiness or their results in somebody else's hands, and it's really it's up to you to take responsibility and create that life that you want.
That's right. So that goes back to, let's say, my number 2, which is making that pact, that plan that I was talking about. Well, that's something that if you know that you want to be with somebody who's super, super fit and you're not, then make that be part of your plan. So in 1 year, I'm going to be with that person. In 9 months, I am going to have been, training myself to be more active. In 6 months, back. Next week, I'm joining a gym. And I'm going to start training so that my goal down the road comes through, So you may not meet that person that day, or maybe you will. Maybe you join a new gym. And by the way, that's a great thing. Switch things up. If you go to a gym and you're not meeting anybody, try a different gym. If you go at 5 o'clock, go at 7 o'clock. Whole different group of people come there. Little things, switch it up. That's, about being a competent dater. Yeah. It's knowing these things, right? Because I don't know if you experience the same thing, but over and over and over again, when I meet with people, they'll say, well, I'm really super active. I know how to be social. I know this and I know that. And I'm like, okay, well then why are you here? If it's working for you, you wouldn't be here. So obviously there's things. And then I'll slowly start saying, well, you like to play tennis. Where do you play tennis? Same club, same group, every day. They get on the court, they have the round robins, and they get off and they go home. Great. So join a new round robin, do a meetup group, go to a tennis camp for a weekend, do a tennis trip, join a new tennis club, go to your local tennis thing. Like, you don't realize how a
charity event. I mean, there's so many things you can do. Or I want to, because like where I live, people are super active, but it's like, instead of just like going jogging by yourself, like go to a meetup group or something that's different, and go to a different part of town. Like, you don't have to, we do, like, we are creatures of habit. So you have to but it's awareness. Most people don't even think about it, right? So
that's it. That's the competence part. Yeah. And we are creatures of habit, but your habit is keeping you single.
Exactly. Amazing advice. I just love the way you broke it down for everybody. I feel like they're going to really be able to like really understand it. So, okay. So I know that you have a free gift. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah. So the free gift is going to be an online seminar. And we're going to hold it it'll be an 8 p.m. Seminar here at Eastern time, so that it'll be 5 o'clock Pacific time for you. The only thing is we have to await the date on this one, sadly to say. It will hopefully be sometime March 20th or 21st. I just have to wait for confirmation on something. But I'm hoping that people will be able to contact or see it through my website. We will post it there, as well as on my Facebook page. Okay. Instagram, we'll put it everywhere with your header on it. so that people will know how to connect and on what date. But it is an hour-and-a-half seminar.
Okay.
And I will be going more in depth into some of this, how to become your own matchmaker.
Okay.
And really, really looking at how to work a room and how to really create, a new lifestyle for yourself that really mirrors where you want to go. And then the last half hour will be question and answer.
Okay. Well, I think like the link will be ready before that, right? So
yes,
it's going to be right under this video. So just click on it, register. All the information is going to be there. So don't worry, you're not going to miss anything. And
you never miss anything with me anyway, because I'm everywhere.
So everybody watch your inbox for tomorrow's email with the links to your next interviews. And Sheryl, thank you so much for spending your time and sharing all your like amazing knowledge with us. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure. And keep spreading the love. Thank you very much for doing this seminar. It's really wonderful what you're doing. And to all you hopeful romantics out there, keep doing it.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.